Well, there's a nurse bee.
The nurse bee. Okay.
You have the queen bee, you have the drones we've talked about, and you also have funeral bees too,
What's a funeral bee?
to take out the dead soldiers. They also have guard bees that are at the front. If one of the bees were to return to a different hive, the guard bees would stop him from entering.
That's not. This is like penguins. It's like penguins, how they all the cries and the mom knows the kid and the kid knows mom. We need Morgan Freeman narrating this.
Yes, we do.
This is Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. Those moments when heaven and earth collide. And we see God in these collisions of heaven and earth through these encounter stories with angels, divine intervention, prophetic dreams, visions, near-death experience. Isn't there supposed to be an S at the end of that? I'm your host, Trapper Jack. Welcome. Nature. We're going to talk nature here because I've heard it said that nature is like a silent sermon. I like that. Nature, a silent sermon. But you got to be paying attention. You got to be looking around and listening and seeing what's going on around you. Here at the house, we've been having ants this year like never before. And you see the scouts going through the kitchen. Got any food? I assume there's kind of an ant Yelp system. 5 stars, crumbs under the toaster, worth the trip. Sometimes on YouTube I'll watch and almost amused by when atheists debate believers, and you have theologians and philosophers, and they're going back and forth, this very heady, cranial kind of discussion. And I sometimes I just start laughing going, it's easier than this. I always thought if I was on one of those things, I'd just tell stories. It's like you're missing it, guys. You're missing, you can't see the forest for the trees, which takes us into the forest, for example. When I was a kid, my buddy John Clough and I would go out there with our makeshift butterfly nets, which meant pillowcases stuck to a stick, and the prize was the monarch, to capture a monarch. Then we let him go. Had no idea that these monarchs are going from Mexico to Canada or Canada to Mexico. They're on the thousands of mile trek, and they're catching thermals, and they have this inner GPS. They don't have maps. They just know must go this direction. Somehow in those teeny tiny brains, they know where they're going. They leave from the same forest in Mexico and the same forest in Canada, and they make their way, and they're catching thermals, and they're flying, and they're trying to flap as little as possible. They're these tiny things that weigh about a gram. There's the laying of eggs involved, and caterpillars, and then the next generation. And so by the time this monarch leaves, then comes back, it's not the same monarch. It's like the great-great-grandkids of the original, and it comes back to exactly where the first one started off. And it's like, what? And you look at that, and how do you not see the design, right? How do you just not see the design? So when I was talking recently with my buddy Tom Kennish, and Tom raises, if that's the right word, raises honeybees in his backyard. He's got 130,000, 150,000, somewhere in there, of these pets with pointy butts. Try selling that to the wife, and we'll hear that story. But I just thought, Tom, can we just talk about this? Because the design, the sermon being preached by these honeybees, these buzzing preachers of just how amazing God is.
So what's going on?
Oh, we're just being and doing.
Okay.
All about the bees today. All about the bees.
Right now I have 4 hives in my yard. And within those 4 hives, I have conservatively probably 130,000 bees.
Okay. What's the most you've ever had?
130,000.
Okay, we're at our max.
It's hard
right
to
now.
count that high. Takes a good day to count that many bees. You line them up, and
do they all hold up a number? I mean, what?
They jump on a line. And it's like, hey, you just can't
count off by 2s. Come on. In fact, I just went into the kitchen and grabbed myself a mouthful of your honey.
Did you really?
I wanted to be inspired.
Last year, I produced about 150 pounds. I'm a low volume producer.
And it's a lot of work.
It is. And truth of the matter is, and I've become more proficient at it over the years, but I still make a mess. You just try not to make a mess, but there's a lot of finger licking that's going on because it's on the table, it's on the floor, but it's fun. It's fun to tell somebody you have 150,000 bees hanging around your backyard.
Yeah, because it does attract attention. It does attract attention.
Yes, it does.
How'd you get into bees? What happened?
Well, I'll tell you a story. Ruth and I, we raised three children, and my daughter, my youngest, Catherine, as a child, I would always, as growing up, I would tell her I wanted her to get married in the church. For some crazy reason, I was looking at bees and different things, and the Catholic Church originally burned pure beeswax candles. To this day, a portion of the candle has to be from pure beeswax, and it is the cleanest and the brightest burning wax.
That's why they do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So her dear father, in his big mouth, stuck his foot in it and said, "Hey, if you get married in the church, I'll make candles for your wedding." Not really knowing how much wax it would take to make candles for a wedding and things
You
like
have no
that.
idea. You have no idea, right?
Yeah, I just, dad was just well, dad was dad. So with that, I took some classes, some basic intro classes about bees. All of a sudden I was telling my dear wife, "Hey, I just bought a box of bees."
So when Tom says, honey, did you call her honey when you did this? Just kind of here's the setup. Honey, I got this idea of maybe a couple of hives, backyard. Anybody in their right mind is going to think initially, I'm going to get stung about 5 billion times. Did she push back a little bit?
Oh, sure. I think she said, "Are you in the cooking sherry again?"
Yeah. I mean, we're all programmed too. Bees, sting, hurt, pain.
No, come on now. I get I get stung probably about 12 times a year.
Yeah, that's a lot. Do you build it? Do you build up an immunity, or does it kick into
I have
something else?
at this point, yes, I do have a very, very strong immunity to it. Just a quick kind of swells up and then
Yeah,
goes away.
like everybody else, and it's like it's like going in and getting a shot.
Pretty much, or less.
Okay, so your wife, how long does it take to convince her?
Oh, she just rolled her eyes and walked away. She she's come around. She'll eat honey.
Darn
She
right.
enjoys the proceeds of my hives.
Okay. How many bees are in a box of bees?
Currently, you can figure about 10,000 bees per box. A package of bees, which is what everybody usually starts with, is 3 pounds of bees and a queen. And a package of bees is the going rate is about $180.
And where does one buy a box of bees?
The bees come out of California or Georgia. A queen, she comes in what they call a queen cage, and you leave her in a little queen cage so that the other bees will accept her and understand her pheromone, and they won't just think she's an intruder. So you put the queen cage into the hive for 3 days, and they'll either eat there's a little candy tube that they'll either uh, chew all the candy out, let her out, and let her become the queen.
Oh, they release her. Isn't that interesting?
Either you can or they will if they like her, if they accept her. Yeah.
So they basically eat the cage.
Well, they eat there's a little tube
Okay.
that so she can get out much easier.
Okay.
And in the queen, she runs the hive. She's in charge of the hive, and if the hive does not like the queen, they'll replace her. They'll take an egg and they put that egg into the queen cell, and then they start to feed it royal jelly, and with that, it evolves into a full fledged queen. Because once they have a new queen emerge, she'll kill off the other queen.
I mean, it's not like the queen wakes up at it, goes, well, must kill queen. It's in their DNA. It's in their program. They have been programmed that if this happens, you do this. If that happens, then you do that. It's
Sure.
all by program, right?
Absolutely.
And she knows, because it's all in the program, that she
Sure.
has to go fly for a bit, right?
She will take, they say, 3 male drone bees, and that's all a drone bee does. Is That's his only job in the world, is to hang around the hive, wait for his call to duty, and eat honey. She'll take 3 drones on a mating flight.
Okay. Because the mating happens in the sky, in the air.
That's correct. There's speckle inside her, and that acts as a plug.
Okay, so the appendage of the drone
Yes,
stays with the queen,
correct.
and he dies.
It tears out part of his body, and he's all done.
Wow, what a way to go. And God laughs. And God laughs. Watch this. Watch this. So the male does what the male does. This
Sure.
is great. What a life. I've been waiting for this.
I'm getting out of the house, and I'm not coming back from the first date.
This is a lot of fun right until the part where he wants to leave.
Right.
And then he leaves that part of him there.
Correct.
It's kind of a, wait a minute.
Mom didn't tell me about this part.
Exactly. So that part of the male part of this, if you will, for the fertilization of the egg,
Yes.
what happens to it?
It stays inside the queen.
Okay, so she stores his stuff.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's in a certain part of the female called?
I'm not sure.
I looked it up. It was like, the sperm suitcase or something.
Okay.
I think that's a technical term. But anyway, so she puts it in the suitcase
Sure.
and then says, male number 2, come on over.
Yep.
Okay. And hopefully he wasn't looking at the first. There's a lot of whistling going on. Hey, okay. Okay, so drone number 2 comes over. Same thing?
Yep.
Goodbye, drone 2.
There you go. And drone 3.
Drone 3. Hey, get his attention. And he's going, wait a minute. What happened to Bob and Jim? Okay, so drone 3, same thing. She's now stored up. Maybe she's full. Her suitcase is full.
Yep.
Okay, then comes back.
And she's also, at this point, she's also much heavier. So she comes back to the hive, and truly, she will never leave the hive again.
For how long? How long can a queen live?
They say 4 to 5 years. That's when the hive will choose to requeen the hive themselves.
They know, and they know. There's something, again, in the program that says she's not doing what she used to be able to do.
Sure.
Because before, how many eggs a day was she doing?
As we come into spring and as we ramp up, she'll lay 1,000 eggs a week.
I saw 2,000 a day. That's wrong?
I've always been told 1,000 a week. She could do. Yeah.
Wait, let me ask my phone. Hold on here. How many? What's the question? Fertilize or just lay? What's the question?
Lay eggs.
Lay. Okay, hold on. How many eggs can a queen honeybee lay in a day?
A queen honeybee can lay up to 2,000 eggs in a single day during peak reproductive periods.
There you go, 2,000.
There you go.
Up to 2,000.
She's laid the egg and it's covered over, and it's being nursed along to evolve into a bee.
You say nursed along by somebody's or bees?
Well, there's a nurse bee.
Nurse bee.
Nurse bees are one of the. You have the queen bee. You have the drones we've talked about, and we know their job. And then there's the nurse bee, and their job is to take care of the brood, keep it warm. Most hives are in the area of 90 degrees, 85 to 90 degrees. The worker bees are either cooling it down, like in this high heat.
Mm-hmm.
They're also responsible for, after they fill a cell with honey, they don't cap it over or cover it over with wax until it drops to about 17% moisture content.
Okay. And they know it's 17% because they're all scientists.
They know 17% without any form of scale or any measuring device.
The nurse bee. Okay. You got a worker bee and a drone bee and a queen bee. Okay. All right.
You also have funeral bees too.
What's a funeral bee?
A funeral bee is his responsibility is to take out the dead soldiers that either died from natural causes or.
So if you got a dead bee clogging up the hive, you have funeral bees carting them out.
Yep.
This is nuts.
Yes,
this is one insect, and they all. I swear, every insect has this kind of crazy story. This is why we're talking. See, here's how this started. A few nights back, we're at a function with the Knights of Columbus, and we're just yakking, and I said, we started talking bees because I think it fascinates me.
Sure.
And I like your honey. You've given me a couple of bottles of it and whatnot. And when you start hearing the story, I said to you, I said, how do you not believe in God when you just hear this one insect story? There is so much order to it.
There is. They also have guard bees that are at the front. I have 4 hives in my yard, and if one of the bees were to return to a different hive, the guard bees would stop him from entering that hive,
They know who's supposed to go in there.
all by scent.
That's nuts. This is like penguins. It's like penguins, how they all the cries and the mom knows the kid and the kid knows mom.
Yep. Yep.
We need Morgan Freeman narrating this.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So we have guard bees to make sure that, if some bee, now who's coming back in? They've been out pollinating.
They would be out pollinating. They come outside the hive and they do what they call an orientation flight. They use the sun and they can triangulate exactly where they're at. If I were to pick up one of my hives and move it 3 feet away, they would return back to where the hive originally was. They would not be able to relocate the hive.
They wouldn't be able to go into that hive?
They wouldn't know where it's at. They would return to the spot it was in, but they wouldn't know.
Even though right over there, 3 feet away.
Yep.
That's just nuts.
Now, as we've come into the later time of year, that late afternoon sun, that 4 o'clock sun, hits the backside of the hive, and they really come to life about 4 o'clock. My backyard above the hives looks like a tornado of bees just flying around doing. They're either doing an orientation flight, or the term is a cleansing flight. The bees will not defecate inside their own hive.
Always good practice.
Yes, it is.
Nobody wants that.
No.
So the bees go do that elsewhere.
They come out of their hive, and I have a bee suit I've been marked by my bees.
I bet you again and again. Hey, there's a good target.
Yep.
Wow.
They say that the bees understand their owner, and I believe it to be true because
they get used to seeing you too. You're part of the landscape.
They'll ping me in the head. They'll just headbutt me. It's not uncommon.
So, and you're wearing one of those beekeeper suits we're familiar with?
Sure. I have a veil that has a screen, and then sometimes I wear gloves, sometimes I don't.
What ticks off a bee that would want to sting you?
The bees will. It depends. If they feel threatened, is the primary reason. If a bee stings me, it tears off the back of their body, and it releases a pheromone, and she'll go back to the hive to alert the rest of the bees. And at that point, a lot of times they'll go to war, which means they see me as a threat. The hive will go from a very low murmur of a buzz, and all of a sudden you can hear it go from a very low to an all of a sudden ramped up buzz in the hive. And historically, that's my cue to put the bees away, put that hive away, and come back another day.
Have your neighbors ever complained?
No, well, the only one time they did. I didn't realize it at first, but one of my little creatures actually went up my pant leg, and I walked into the house and, hey, wait a minute, I got a bee in my pants. She nailed me real hard in the knee, so I took off my trousers, and I'm standing at my back door, and folks had their children out, and they were out swinging on the swing, and here's the neighbor that lives behind him shaking his trousers, standing there in his underwear, shaking his trousers out, trying to get a bee out of his pants. And it's like, I kind of waved to him. It's like, don't worry about it, neighbor. Don't worry. There's extra honey in it for you.
There's honey in it for you. There's honey in it for you. Going back to California and Georgia, are they like the two most perfect places for bees or something?
In Georgia, they pollinate the peach trees, so that's why they have commercial pollinators, where they have literally a semi full of beehives, and they'll go from peach farm to peach farm to let the bees out for a while and do their thing. And in California, Like I can't think of there's a nut that comes from California that comes from a
Almond.
tree.
Aren't almonds involved?
Almond. Yep. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Without bees, all the foods that we wouldn't have, because it's pretty extensive, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. If anything that flowers, like a tomato plant, pumpkins, your regular flowers, of course, too, but anything that has a bud with a flower requires a bee. Without bees, we won't survive very long.
So these trucks, these semis with nothing but hives inside will come, barrel through, stop, and then they all go play.
They unload all their trucks for a period of time, load them up, and move on to the next. But
There's a quiet business people don't talk about. Driving around with hives that otherwise, again, you just think about how much food comes out of California
sure,
alone,
sure,
and
and that's
you've got to have those bees.
one thing that this country can do is we can produce food.
Yeah. When they go out, when they're flying around, doing the pollinating, are there certain pollinating bees, or what? What is that?
The foraging bees are at the end of their life, and those are the bees that they use to go forage for nectar and pollen and things like
What have
that.
they been doing up to now?
Um, the first job is to be nurse bee. They come out and they're a nurse bee, and they're also responsible for building comb.
Okay, so but towards the end of their life, this is when they start going flower to flower and doing that thing.
They're pollinating. They're looking for pollen. It's always fun to see them because they're behind their wings. They store pollen and things like that, and they'll be just covered in it. They can also do what's called a waggle dance, and a waggle dance. And I've seen them do it before. They will literally put their butt in the air, and they'll swing it back and forth and things like that. The scientists really don't understand how they're communicating doing it, but they can tell other bees in the hive where a water source is, because every morning I go out and replenish. I just have a small bird feeder type bowl with rocks in it because the bees will drown if I don't, so they can stand on the rocks, and they need water.
This colony is amazing.
It is, if you to sit there and watch them just come and go, and obviously you've tasted honey, and the honey that I produce is raw honey. It's
Yeah.
from the hive to the bottle. There's nothing in between.
And if 1,000 years from now, someone comes upon my home, which is now covered in dirt, and they find that bottle and open up that honey, it's still good.
It's good for about 2,000 years.
That's just nuts.
Yes, it is. It's amazing to think that it takes a bee. It'll take a bee a lifetime to make 1 teaspoon of honey.
So explain the process here. They come back, they do the little waggle, they've got pollen all over. What happens to the pollen? Bees ingest it
Ingest it, sure.
into a particular stomach?
Correct.
How is the honey actually made?
And it's done internally in the bee.
The honey is made inside the honeybee.
And they regurgitate it from their honey stomach.
It comes out as honey.
Correct.
So the foraging bees are the ones that make it work.
Correct.
Percentage-wise of the colony, what percentage is actually going out and making this work then?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I what, I really never
Don't
thought
I ask
about.
interesting questions that you apparently have never asked, Honeyman? So where's the wax come into all this?
The wax is secreted from the back of a bee, and they build a perfect octagon for the queen to lay eggs in, which will turn into more bees. And it is the perfect size. It's the perfect shape for space and storage.
Better than a square.
Better than a square.
Better than a trapezoid.
I don't think bees know what trapezoids are.
Rhombuses? Well, they don't know what an octagon is either, but they're making them.
But it's truly amazing to think that they can produce an octagon in perfect shape, row after row, frame after frame. They do it. They also make something called propolis. Think of the stickiest glue you've ever had on your fingers and multiply it by 100. And they use propolis to seal every crack and every corner, um, any open area in the hive, and they will literally glue the boxes, the bee frame, the boxes together. It's amazing what a bee can do in a week. It was last week I was out there. They're literally gluing everything shut and closed because they know that the winter's coming sooner or later, and they know.
So are they
So
doing that all the time, or as you approach the colder weather?
they do it. It gets stronger this time of year because they know the season's changing.
Yeah, and again, we say they know. They don't know squat, but it's in the program. Like you say, a certain temperature hits, a certain something hits, the sun's at a certain angle there, but somehow the program's running.
It's amazing to study them as a whole, based on the sheer fact that if you look at your faith, and somebody came up with the idea of a bee, and it certainly wasn't my pay grade to do that, but
Yeah, somebody came up with an idea for a bee. We need bees. There are actually a number of Bible verses that have to do with nature. Here's the one I love out of Job. But ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they will tell you, or speak to the earth, and it will teach you, or let the fish in the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this?
what these bees do and what they can create. And there's this is just it's amazing. Sometimes we get so enamored with our cell phones and things like that. Sometimes I think you gotta step out of the world that that we've created around ourselves, and look at what we have and what the good Lord did to us and what gave us. I mean, between the animals and, like I said, something as simple as my bee, a creature most people would rather walk away from, and things like that. They're amazing, and
We
it's
would all
part
love bees if it wasn't for the stinger, you know?
of
There's just that
it.
little extra element there. And but even that can be used for good. You never know, right?
It can, believe it or not, bee venom is actually uh, more lethal than a snake bite. But because of the dose, it's such a small incremental amount. There's a gal here in the greater Cleveland area, and she does bee apothecary for people that have arthritis and different uh, skeletal and muscle different conditions and things like that. She will take bees, and people actually go to her. She controls the bee to sting them.
In a certain area.
Yep, and in your people have arthritis in their hands or their
Yeah.
knees. She sure does.
Wow.
Yeah,
I,
I'm
I, I
not
just
saying
I
not
just
to just
assumed I was
go.
thinking about just the venom itself that's used in whatever medications or whatever for whatever purposes.
Yeah,
But there's someone who says no, sting right there,
that's what she does, and
and there's scientific evidence that that can help.
it does. Yeah, she claims, and there's people that believe in her very much. So I haven't signed up yet.
I'm
No,
not looking.
no, they were made that way for a reason. And my mom would always tell me, she said, "You may not understand now, but someday you will."
That's why anybody who just goes 100% Darwinism of, oh, it's just random. No, it's too beautiful. It's too ordered.
Yes, it is.
It's look at penguins again. It's like, what the heck? You know, there's a spirit behind this. There's a mind behind this. It's too beautiful. You know, it's not chaos at all. It's not
No,
chaos. Somehow, someone like you explains what the heck the bee is doing, and a nurse and a worker and a drone and a queen and a guard it's crazy. That's all. I wanted to do a Touch by Heaven episode where we just talk just about this.
sure. There's. I'll be honest with you. Many years ago, uh, when the scandal that happened in the church with the priest and things like that, and I sat down and I thought to myself, well, I'll just be a quiet, a closet Catholic is what I decided to be. I thought I didn't really want to I didn't want to give up my faith, but I didn't want to evangelize or to speak about it too strongly. And I happened to go to mass, and it was at St. Thomas More in Brooklyn. And I can't remember who the priest who said mass was, but in his homily, I'll never forget. He said, listen, he says, we got problems and we're aware of it and we're going to deal with it appropriately. He said, but all you good Catholics need to stand up and be counted. He said, there's no reason to hide. There's no reason. And ever since then, I never really had an issue um, with it. Certainly in my on my own side. So nonetheless, at work and places like that, a lot of people know. They know that I'm a knight. They know that
You're the Knight of the Year.
that I am.
You were
That I
voted
am.
Knight of the Year in our council. And it wasn't because of the bees.
No, no. I'm amazed. Sometimes people, either challenge me about this or that. It's like, and I sometimes you feel sorry for them and you pray for them. And certainly you can't beat them over the head with a Bible. You might want to, but the HR says I'm not allowed, so I won't.
Yeah. It was funny today. I was hearing a reflection on the words, I believe in God. So the Apostles' Creed starts off with, I believe in God. And the
Sure.
reflection was on when you can take that next step of just, I believe God. It's a huge step. It's one thing to understand, to believe in the concept of, I believe in God. Yeah, I get it. And you're kind of you're a step back. But when you believe God, that means now you're in a relationship. Now you're communicating. Now you're obeying him because I believe God and what he says, and I believe there's a heaven, and I believe there's a hell, and I believe in a lot of things here. And in things is different from I believe God. And I just you could ponder that for hour after hour. Just how do you believe God or not? Because you mentioned with the scandal in the church, which ultimately, 95% of that was really decades ago that just got found out later. Now it's amazing that these priests that are coming out of seminary, they're just incredible. By and large, I mean,
Absolutely.
huge percentage. We've been so blessed at our church.
We
But
have.
but the scandals really were decades and decades ago when the seminaries were run horribly
Mhm.
by some horrible people. And God allowed, didn't he?
He did.
God allowed, knowing full well what he would turn it into, all by the Holy Spirit, just totally flipped it all around. I did an episode, I can't remember if I did it on the podcast or mentioned it. I know I did it on a video thing I did, which was one morning I woke up, sometimes I wake up to words, and I woke up to the words, if you call it a voice, whatever you call it, inner voice. I have reclaimed my seminaries. I have reclaimed my seminaries. And I don't remember how many times I heard it, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I don't remember. But I just kept hearing, I have reclaimed my seminaries. And he has. It's not the same church.
Mm,
And the church
it's
is not
true.
producing the same kind of priests. There's a fire out there right now. And it's not just in the Catholic Church, but you can certainly feel it here. And I think other faiths feel it as well. I hope so,
And you look at a couple of Sundays ago in Vatican City, they had over 1 million young people.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. 1 million young people. There was something going on across the U.S. During Easter. There were more baptisms. There were more people coming into the church with confirmation, the Eucharist, the whole thing. More people coming in than have it. I don't know. It's been decades. The numbers are up in numbers greater than in decades, and it's like something's going on our level, Tom.
Sure.
It's on our level. You don't feel it's not coming from the hierarchy as much as we might like our new pope, but it's you don't get the sense of the heat pouring down. There's like a fire down here burning up.
Right. And that's good to hear. You sometimes you think that you're it's an old tradition and it's just fading away, but when you hear news like that, it makes you happy. It,
Yeah.
it it gives you renews your faith and your hope. And one thing we didn't touch on, we forgot to touch on the patron saints of the bees.
Oh my gosh, we have patron saints of bees.
We do.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Saint Valentine was one of them.
Really? What's the story there?
I gotta hang on. You know what? I made notes this morning. I
Okay,
didn't
make
read
some notes.
them.
Look at your notes, because there's always a story to why certain saints are certain things. And it's like today. You know what today is? The feast of St. Clare. St. Clare, who lived in the 1200s, St. Clare, patron saint of television.
Really? I didn't know that.
Because she was so sick. There was one Christmas she was so sick, and she always went to Mass every day. She couldn't get out of bed to go to Mass on Christmas Day.
Really?
And so what did God do for her? On her wall, she saw the Mass in the nearby church. God put it on her wall, and she
Isn't that
watched
amazing?
the Mass, and she's the patroness of television.
I would have never thought that.
Isn't that great? True story.
Saint Ambrose of Milan, a 4th century bishop known for his eloquence, association with the bees has come from a legend of a swarm landing on him as a baby and leaving honey on his face. He's often depicted with a beehive.
Huh.
Crazy little creatures. I look at my bees and 10 years ago, if you said, have you ever tasted honey? I'd never tasted honey before.
Amazing. 10 years ago, you had never had a taste of honey.
No,
That
honestly,
funny?
I never did.
Isn't that funny?
And there's times I'll throw some out there to people. And I'm always amazed at the amount of people that come back to me and are just love it. It's like I'm like a honey dealer. It's just, it's crazy that,
Hey, Tom, you got the stuff? You got the stuff. Here's a 20. Here.
Kennish, come here.
Come here. Come here, Kennish. Come here.
I need a fix. I need some honey.
I need a fix. I need some of that 1,000-year food. I need it. I got to have it. I always ask my guests, what's the takeaway? So, Tom, Kennish, Honeyman, what is the takeaway from your bees and what they've taught you and all this?
What have they taught me? No, they humble you. They think at the end, they truly humble me because, and you talk about the people that don't have faith or agnostic or whatever they choose. This just didn't happen on its own. In my world, the Lord calls, and this is, this is, he was part of this program. You can't sit here and tell me that the Darwin theory and things like that. These things just didn't come about there. We have a creator, and to have all these to think about. We talked about bees and going to flowers. Think about all the beautiful flowers. All these things are, from the love of God is where they come from.
Without the bee cross-pollinating, the flowers don't happen. The food doesn't happen. This tiny little this little buzzing insect gives us food, so much food, and then pure honey to boot.
It's in the big scheme of things, it's truly amazing if you sit down and ponder on it for a while.
And he chose you, Tom. He chose you to take care of those little critters. Well, what a delight it has been, Tom.
Very good. Awesome. I hope I did a good job.
You done good, buddy. You done good.
I had a good time. I've been nervous as heck. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate the education on the bee. Starts with the queen, doesn't it? And today, as I record this, it's August 15th, and it's the day of the Assumption of Mary into heaven. This is the anniversary day for me for coming back to God, basically. It was August 15th, 1999, where I just threw a prayer to God. I don't know what I'm missing, but you do. Bring it on. And right after that, everything changed for me. And Mary's fingerprints are just all over this, the queen of heaven and earth. And we know Mary's the queen of heaven and earth just by reading the Bible. You got a king of Israel? Oh, look, it's Jesus, the king of heaven and earth. And wherever the king is, there's got to be a queen. And the queen was always the mother of the king. So wherever Jesus is, there's Mary, the queen. And so as we talk about queen bees and such, and I couldn't help but notice again today on the Feast of the Assumption there, Mary showed up again today, the queen. This morning we took Father Kevin out to breakfast. Father Kevin's going to be our priest in Medjugorje, and the way that came about, just to show you just how dazzling and that there's no coincidence. Early on, when we knew we were going to Medjugorje, we knew we needed a priest, but even though we loved Father Kevin, he was a priest at our parish for a few years, but we were hesitant. Why? I'm not quite sure, because there had to be a certain timing. And on July 1st, I said to Elizabeth, I think we're supposed to reach out to Father Kevin to be our priest. And she said, well, and I don't know where she got it. Maybe, I don't even know. But she said, well, tomorrow's his birthday. And I said, good that you know these things. I'll wait a day. I'll wait until tomorrow, July 2nd, to reach out to Father Kevin, send him a text. And so on his birthday, I reached out to Father Kevin, and I said, happy birthday. I said, Our Lady would like to give you a gift today, Medjugorje. Would you like to be our priest for our group, our pilgrimage to Medjugorje in October? Phone immediately rings and says, I don't care that much about my birthday, but I always advise people that they need to do the 33-day consecration to Mary, which is going to Jesus through Mary. He said, but I'd never done it before myself. And today is my 33rd day. I'm finally doing it. And today is my last day. And just a couple of hours ago, I prayed the prayer of consecration to Our Lady. And now you're sending me a text saying she's got a gift for me. Do you want to go to Medjugorje? I think there's something to this, something providential. And so he's going to be our priest. And this morning, we got together with him for breakfast, and we didn't even plan it to be necessarily on this day, but it was. It's just Mary again saying hi to us, the Queen. It's just another aspect of the Queen. So very cool. All right, what is your story? Let me know here at touchedbyheaven.net. Thanks for your Patreon help. Appreciate it. Thank you, Michael Rind. Michael joined the family and makes this all go. What makes this all go are your stories and also your financial support. Patreon.com, or come here to this episode, 380 at touchedbyheaven.net. All right, see you next week here at Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. What will we discover next week? Tom, what are we going to discover next week?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really never...
Don't I ask interesting questions that you apparently have never asked, Honey Man?